So I'm going to show you an example here. Also, pause if you want to look at this at any length. All I'm really trying to show you is that with Sublime, I'm showing you the behind-the-scenes translation. And more importantly, it has a search function so I can look through all the files, but I eventually do need to go through all the files and replace certain things with English if I want to make an English translation. And the other part is that Control H on Sublime allows me to basically replace everything I see. So as you see there, you'll notice that the lines kind of switched. It's because I put a lot of asparagus, and if I look for it, you'll actually see it pop up and get highlighted here. But again, I would normally double click all of these links and then go into the file and then save it. But as we move on to what we have here today, I'm working with the non-perm version of a character made by a Korean creator. So as we get Katarufu ill-fated, because I realized as I was translating the perm version to have more fun, it was a lot to translate, along with everything else I have on my plate in a daily life. So, without further ado, I think we're on ill-fated, right? And so I'll talk about what I added in just to display more of this character as we move on here. So, after the timestamp, as we get into Katarufu ill-fated custom character, hey, we're gonna cook. I added this ally because I wanted a quick way to proc events. Now, if we talk to this quote-unquote ally right now, all we'll see is text, but I made it so that at the beginning of every mystery, essentially you can do the event that normally this character would come with without perm. So I'll mention that again after I go through this. Lighthouse, Takshisan, Strength, second encounter, Charisma, Dexterity, and maybe second mystery check. But this character has a very, very interesting design, and by that I mean I would love to play and challenge myself with this character. I did give this character a backpack as well because she will most likely be carrying a lot of items in her inventory, on top of the fact that I just gave her the cookbook so that we can maybe proc other food items. But as we look here, Big Spender unfortunately does not proc on events. You could make events in perm, but again, this is the non-perm version, so even the non-perm version has a lot to her, which is why this video is probably coming out a lot later than I expect. But as we get into the run here, I will show off the event as soon as I go through these mysteries. Akamanto, Festival, Taxi, You, and Arms. So, we will take Akamanto first, funny enough. And basically, this character has a lot of potential in terms of in-game gameplay potential, in terms of items you can get, experience you can get, and there are other things. You can heal stamina and reason every so now and then. But the non-perm version primarily focuses on a lot of experience, or I think it is mainly just experience, but you can get other things as well. So if I were to show it off here, so I made this event in perm specifically. Again, if my audio sounds a little muted at times, it's because I'm testing out some noise suppression, but this event is what I made just so I can force the event. So the event we're going to run into here is specifically, and it wasn't, this one is by the creator, but this is the event that you would run into if you're working with the non-perm version. You'll get a lot of choices. Now, to note here, the reason why, and I'm just going to click options randomly as I explain and let the gameplay speak for itself, but the behind the scenes is that, yes, I did what I would call a soft translation, and this is specific phrasing for what I consider for World of Horror. And the reason I say it's a soft translation is because I did not translate everything. I only translated pretty much the bare minimum to get it working. Because if you try to use, basically, if you're playing, say, on a Chinese language, and you are using an English custom content, then what ends up happening, as you actually saw Korean there, is that I didn't get a weapon, by the way, it's fine. Yeah, what happens is that basically things don't work. So for example, if this cookbook in my inventory was named the Kukubuku in like katakana and not in English, World of Horror is very, very, very particular with what it wants from each, how should I say, character, a letter in its item names when you're playing on a specific language. So if you're playing on English, it needs to be all caps cookbook, because there are even caps sensitive characters in the when it tries to look for certain items, in this case, the cookbook. If it had been lowercase c, then this would not appear at all. And of course, if it's in another language, you would click it, but nothing would happen. So it'd be a dead filler item. Now, funny to note that, interesting to note is that World of Horror actually does not crash in that instance, but you do have a dead item, and technically it is bugged. So I'm shrugging in real life, as I say, and OBS cuts me out because of noise suppression. That you being very particular with the letters, with how things are named, does mean that translating custom content. If you just want to get the bare minimum, you need to make sure everything works. This includes for PERM specifically as well. This includes moments in which you are granted status effects or items and whatnot. Those names need to be translated, otherwise they're going to give you the code is going to give you an item that's in another language that you're not playing World of Horror on. Do I need to grab something? I do. And yeah, you'll get an item or an ally or a curse or a status effect that does not work. So which I want to mention again, a lot of props to the creator of this mod who added PERM to it. Again, I'm not playing the PERM version right now because I have to translate through everything, and I'm probably going to do a soft translation just so I can get the character working. But more importantly, yeah, I want to give props because the creator went through the process of basically learning the PERM language, which is primarily in English. So I'm shrugging again in real life, as I say. There's a lot of respect there. On top of just the character design in general, far high quality. A far high quality. It's very high quality. On top of the character's gameplay and her aesthetic as well as basically a cooking club member. I don't remember what the exact name is Japanese. So-called not self-taught, but so-called person who learned Japanese. Yeah. And that's that. So we could run into the non-perm or the intended custom event because she has one in each custom location. Again, the problem here, for me particularly, as I realize that I just Akamanto'd myself, but the problem here is that I'm using a lot of custom content, so that's a me thing. But because I'm using a lot of custom content, I am not likely to run into her linked custom events, which is something to think about. There are a lot of things you could do or could not do, but for the moment, I also did not equip the butterfly knife, so whoopsie doopsie. Maybe this is a short video, but we're gonna just eat this long pig steak just to hold off on things. But I think we're still out. I don't want to take 3-all damage unless magically Akamanto doubles his stamina damage in one turn, which he should not. But otherwise, I mean, we can do Desperate Prep Strong, but I don't think it really gets me anything, because in the end, I'm going to be, using the handcuffs anyway. But yeah, I think that this character I feel is very well made. She has 2 different versions. I don't think she's on the Discord, but she's on Nexus Mods because, again, she has a non-perm version you can download if you're not using perm, and then she has a perm version if you want to use perm. Shrug. So, we have Arms, Taxi, and You Will Take You now. Maybe we'll humor this boss, but we'll see, because boy oh boy, have I run into problems in this mystery before, in terms of me just dying. But we can do her event again. We don't have funds, but we can try doing it again. So a lot of the requirements for the non-perm version in terms of using this event, and I can show this event again just to show, is that you are looking to be holding on to certain items as you go into her events. So if you don't have, say, Lump of Flesh, Long Pig Steak, which I did have, but I used up, if you don't have Mummified Heart, if you don't have Corpse Dust, you're not able to take options in which you basically get granted a bunch of experience. But that being said, you can still get things from her events. So even at the very end here, even if you fail cooking, quote unquote, you can go and try to test your luck here and there and get items pretty much. Now, what I don't remember is whether or not I had done a thing. And again, I did my best to translate. I don't know Korean, and I was actually supposed to do a thing, but I forgot. But yeah, I threw this into basically translators and just did my best to make sense of what was there. Now, obviously, there are context-sensitive things in World of Horror that I understand and can look for. For example, through Sublime Text, as I showed you in the beginning. Although I was showing off the beginning code for, the sake of showing the behind the scenes of how I translate, you can also use Sublime Text to look for basically accurate translations in the in World of Horror, so that if you want to understand what gets translated into what, so for example, if you don't know, if you're unsure of what, say, an item is in Japanese, then you can look for that in World of Horror. And I think the translation files, you can look at them because, well, you want to be able to understand what the items' names are, basically, especially when you're making custom content. But otherwise, as we sit here, I think we just do prep attack twice. We are about to die here, but I think we're fine for the moment. Now, I just remembered that we are in U, so I do need stamina. So we're gonna just stamina ourselves through the tree. If we take too much brain damage, then so be it. Brain damage, then so be it. But yeah, basically all of the translations for World of Horror specific status effects and whatnot do exist, and this is all without touching the data.win file, which is the most important file to not touch. But yeah, and I don't remember if, but yeah, correct me if I'm wrong if Panstaz made any specific comments, or anyone else involved with the World of Horror's development. Also, that's right, I am on the thingamajiggy, so I'm on ill-fated, so I'm taking super damage. But again, we're here mainly to show this character off because I think she's very well made, both from a gameplay and an aesthetic standpoint. So, shrug. But yeah, I did translate. I'm going through the PERM one because I think the PERM one is a lot more not interesting or intuitive. What am I trying to say? Do I want to fight this tree? I'm going to fight this tree. It has a lot of potential, and it definitely showcases a lot of what PERM can do, and how custom content can evolve for World of Horror in the future. Now, whether or not those updates come when people want them to come is an entirely different story, but even with PERM right now, you can get things working, because, I mean, I'm sure that whoever's working on PERM or whoever's working on a World of War base game for custom content, or both, you can make a lot of good strides here and there. And very small things can allow, like, as I mentioned before, if I didn't mention it particularly, I'll mention it now, that the addition of conditionals in Ito statements can be very, very powerful. PERM shows us that. In fact, again, if you play this character and, you know, well, actually, that's right, you can't properly play her, because if you're in English, if you're playing in English, things will not work because of what I said earlier. But just looking through her design and in PERM, I did find a lot, or I do think it's a good showcase of what PERM can do as well. On top of the demo that you get, which, to kind of note, I did have some problems with ally CGs for a moment until I figured out that it was just me, and I forgot about the bottom left rule. If you don't know what that is, as I autopilot through this and take my ill-fatedness to the face. So the bottom left rule for creating custom, well, CGs really, is that the bottom left pixel, 1 pixel at the bottom left, pretty much decides what becomes transparent for your background. So the main example for this are things like ally or status cards with their backgrounds. There's a front layer that shows off, say, so the hunger here is the person in the picture, in the background are these kind of waves in the back. Brain damage's front picture is this picture of a X-ray head, and the BG is the waves in the back. Just a Dream is this lady with a portrait, and then the waves in the back are the background. So it's a two-layer process in which you want the front layer, which is the main draw of your CG, to have basically a transparent color. That way you can see the BG in the background and also not cut off, as I show you basically Bunny Cook here and you talk. If you don't do it correctly, then the front part will cut off the first like 3 pixels. So this hay there, you'll see like part of the H and it'll be cut off. That's kind of the main thing, on top of other things that can go wrong, because as I mentioned before, ally CGs have a very particular size requirement as well. So if you try to use, basically, if you're like, oh, I need something quick, and use like a status card, you're gonna get some weird background CG shenanigans. Nothing's gonna break, but it will look very odd. Nice map, by the way. We can't consult the map for this taxi because I don't want to unequip the crestfallen mask, so that's my fault. But it's also here I realize I think I can cook. Oh wait, we can't cook an event. So particularly, if this is a PERM rule where if you talk to an ally and have it force an event, you can't do that during events. Oh, the thing I wanted to mention as well is that it's interesting to note that, as I just pop these cigarettes now, it's interesting to note that if you're in like Scissors, a mystery called Mysteries Like Scissors, and I assume the same for things like Flood and whatnot, or maybe not Flood, but definitely Recluse and Scissors, then what ends up happening is that you can't actually trigger events through PERM, through an ally, which I think makes logical sense. I'm not saying it's a bug. I'm saying that's literally what is intended to happen. Also, I forgot to cook, and I can only cook once per mystery. It's not like I'm stacking these, so whoopsie doopsie. But I don't think I can fight the people either, so we're gonna try to do as much damage as possible. I believe in the creator of this mystery when they make your decisions matter. Now, keeping that in mind, I completely forgot that I'm on ill-fated, but I have to just take these doom increases, because if we fail too much, then I think bad things happen. So we'll finally use the gun. We don't really get to do much because, again, ill-fated means I get absolutely slammed here. But yeah, so if I made a sudden cut, it's because I keep forgetting that I set timers in real life, and they go off and they basically make a loud noise. I can make it vibrate, or I can make something mute, but I chose not to, so shrug. Was that a requirement choice, by the way? Anywho, 42 HP minus 1 all. This is not gonna go well for me, but we just gotta go all out and hope for the best, because we don't have any other recourse. Now, we can use the long pig steak, but let's throw everything else we have first. So, we can also throw this, can't we? How much damage is this? I was about to say, this better do at least 3 damage. And then we just toss out everything we can do, because, yeah, we don't have much recourse. I think we get really, really close to defeating... Yeah, in fact, I think we do get out of this. If I can do this... In fact, I can... And that's right, the butterfly knife has a faster, strong attack, which I haven't been using because I've been autopiloting the whole time. But if you want a sneak peek in terms of verbal notification and what the PERM version of this character is, the PERM version comes with a lot of basically items that are used in her events. In fact, you go to a cooking competition, which basically grants you goodies if you do well, pretty much. Now, again, I haven't gone through everything, but I basically gone through the surface of the ingredients that exist. Yeah, that's all I really have to say at the moment. We might actually still survive this run, even though we're doing ill-fated and autopiloting like mad. But I guess we'll find out. Now, my next question is, do I get to talk here? No. The answer is no. So, I mean, it kind of makes sense. I would understand for festival here, because you don't have the luxury of being in town and getting ingredients, which is a lot of what this character's events can kind of push you towards, because you need funds to buy items. And so what ends up happening is that you go through a fund check, and if you don't have the funds, basically you take a penalty, usually experience for the moment. But hey, I want to just run from this. I don't remember my second encounter. Never mind, we can't run from this because you can't run from this enemy. All right, cool. We just throw out attacks for the moment. I'll think about doing anything else. We also still do have the holy candles to use for reason, but I really wanted them to proc on Doom, which is why I haven't used them. But meh, we'll deal. So we take -3 all for this encounter and just be on our merry way. We can do a lot of damage per turn. The problem was that encounter was a bit tanky. We can get rid of one of these brain damages if I so choose. Not really any reason to, though. Yeah, so instead we'll get rid of the proc here. I think that procs on lighthouse penalty, lighthouse failure stuff, but I'm taking a bunch of stamina damage as well, so that makes me really, really, really sad. And I also did not use her custom events, but we can also treat it like we ran to the custom events kind of normally, except they're just added on, but still. And yes, this is the non-perm version on a perm World of Horror run, because obviously I have a custom ally here, which I'm pretty sure... I've used perm so much that I, for some reason, thought you could make custom allies and even items in base World of Horror custom content. But no, that's not the case. It's primarily just characters, events, and mysteries, whereas perm, you get a lot. You get a lot. You don't really have an... What was that? Anyway, oh, that's right. We have one more mystery. Never mind. Okay, I guess we do lose here, but I can at least show you the event one more time. So, as we go through here, the non-perm version also has nice little goodies that you can get as well. I also didn't show you the event. I'll remember it this time. But we have a long pig steak. Hey, we can finally use the meat, and hopefully I did this right. So yeah, long pig steak, use it up. I did not translate that because, again, I went through the bare minimum to make sure I could do stuff. Now, the interesting thing to note is that you don't lose these materials when you sell them, and I'm pretty sure that's because in base World of Horror custom content, how it works is that it doesn't know how to remove those items. So, I mean, I think that's kind of good, and the reason why, at least that's more good than bad if we're looking at sides. And the reason I say that is because if you took away things like, you know, salt, even branches to some extent, human skull, there are a lot of rare-ish items that you don't often get more than once, if at all, in a run. In which, so even here, Holy Candle, losing those items in these events would be a lot. Like, even though a lot of them you don't lose it too much, you don't use them too much, I do think that losing an item in a lot in these kinds of custom events is a lot. Now that being said, if you want to take it away, that's your prerogative. I'm just saying if you're trying to make a run harder, yeah, you would take it away. And if you want it to be easier, because it is easier to hold on to the holy candle, then yeah, you just leave them the holy candle or the long pig stake in events like this where they don't get taken away, which is again the case in base World of Warcraft custom content. But anywho. It's here I forgot that I was supposed to showcase basically the working variables. But anywho, we'll just start bracing for. In fact, I think we. In fact, I think we 3 stamina into a desperate struggle turn. We do. In fact, I don't even need to. So 1, 2, 3. Let's get out. But yeah, really quickly here, if I show you what happens this time, again, I should have set everything correctly. I know I did it. I was trying to line break here, and I couldn't figure out why I couldn't line break. But I know I saw a line break earlier. Maybe it's only when it's actual choice text and not requirement text. But anywho, yeah, we take 1 damage for that, but it's fine. Again, this is mainly a showcase run. Obviously, surviving would be great, but no, that's not going to be what happens this time, so... Nicotine withdrawal, watch us run into an enemy. Watch us be on arms B. If we're on arms B, we definitely die. We don't have the stamina to handle this. In fact, we don't even have the reason to handle this. So, yeah, without further ado, as we pop this holy candle, I mean, our doom is shooting up through the roof, and we are in timeline B. So, rip, because butterfly knife, nicotine withdrawal, man, I hate fast weapons so much. If you can, the butterfly knife is a very fast weapon, so just imagine trying to use, like, the steak knife, and then you get, well, yeah, you're not normally planning for nicotine withdrawal, but hey. Things. And again, it's not like if I used another weapon, it would be any better. But boy, oh boy, I would love to dodge attack right now. We actually have no recourse here, I just realized. So without further ado, yeah, not really much else to say. We'll send Iwa, see how much damage he does. He deals 3 damage, and yeah, can't dodge into anything. Again, that was kind of my fault. I was autopiloting, and I was using cigarettes when I shouldn't have used that.